Well, boys, Lightfall is officially here, and you know what that means. I mean new weapons to chase. Now, while I'm sure every new weapon is good in its own way, I'm really only going to be focusing on the best of the best and narrowing it down to the top 5 new weapons that came out with Lightfall that you should chase after and their god rolls. Now, you all know the drill. If you're new, and only if you enjoy my videos, then feel free to subscribe. I'd appreciate it. But before we get started, I would like to thank HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. If you somehow don't know what HelloFresh is, well, I'd suggest moving out from under your rock. It's America's #1 meal delivery service. Yes, fresh meals right to your doorstep. HelloFresh has 40 recipes to choose from weekly, so no matter the meal occasion, lifestyle, or you just being a picky eater, they've got you covered. And no, they're not sending the whole plant or cow right to your door. Everything is pre-portioned with a cute little infographic instruction card. This saves you tons of time and ensures that even if cereal is the only thing you've ever cooked, you're gonna be able to make this with ease. Now, if you think that HelloFresh has to be 3 times higher in price than your already rising grocery bill, think again. HelloFresh is cheaper than groceries, 25% cheaper than takeout, and 70% cheaper than dining at a restaurant. To be honest, my favorite part about HelloFresh is the fact that I don't need a single bit of culinary creativity. If it wasn't for HelloFresh, I'd be eating the same 2 to 3 meals per week. So if that sounds like you, I'd highly recommend you give HelloFresh a shot. Use my link or go to HelloFresh.com and use code POGMyfiMar60 for 60% off plus free shipping. Once you click, my description will live update to count up the purchases. All right, getting started with number 5, we have the new 120 RPM Strand hand cannon, the Round Robin. And great news, it's one of the craftable weapons, so you don't need to rely on RNG to get the perfect roll. You just need 5 deep sight drops. Although hand cannons aren't the best weapon to use at the moment, nothing will beat that OG satisfaction of using one. Starting out with how to get this weapon, it comes as a random drop on Neomuna. So as far as I can tell, it'll drop from completing activities on Neomuna such as Lost Sectors, Heroic Patrols, which I think guarantee you a Neomuna weapon, as all the ones I've done have given me one, but that might just be my luck. And turning in engrams at Nimbus. Note, Nimbus can drop world drops as well as Neomuna weapons until you get the rank 30 unlock, which makes their engrams, or the engrams that drop, only Neomuna weapons. Personally, for the weapon roll, I would recommend Hammer Forged Rifling in the barrel column, Light Mag in the mag column, Subsistence in the first perk column, which refills 10% of your mag on weapon kill, and Hatchling in the second perk column, which precision kills or rapidly defeating targets with a non-precision weapon spawns a threadling at the target's location. But a perk, if you can get it, that I would try out, since I personally haven't been able to get it to drop on it yet, is Envious Assassin. Rapidly defeating guardians with other weapons before drawing. This weapon transfers ammo to the magazine from reserves and can overflow the mag, as that might be a top tier perk and could pair very well with other weapons with that perk to get a build going where you just never need to reload and have crazy high magazine counts. Next up at number 4, we have a heavy grenade launcher called the Regnant, and once again, it's craftable. If you were paying attention during the final week of the previous season, you might have noticed everyone was going crazy over the Wendigo. Well, joke's on them, as now you can get the perfect roll for essentially free. Getting this weapon is going to require you to go into the new seasonal activity, Defiant Battlegrounds, and open up the chest at the end, which you can open whenever you want. But personally, I don't know if it's bugged or if it's meant to be like this, but when you have Defiant keys, the deep sight drop rate seems insanely high, to the point that I have like 3 or 4 deep sights toward most of the seasonal weapons. So if you have some keys, I'd hop in and spin them in case this is a bug and Bungie fixes it, or if Bungie just nerfs it. Now, if you're watching this later in the season, there's an upgrade that unlocks on week 3 called Deep Sight Decoding, which guarantees a deep sight weapon on the first weapon you decode from the war table in the helm. On this weapon, you're going to want hard launch in the barrel column, spike grenades in the magazine column for that extra damage boost, but alloy casing isn't a bad choice either if you get a random drop with it. In the first perk column, you're going to want auto-loading holster, which this holster weapon is going to automatically reload after 2.5 seconds. But once again, like with round robin, envious assassin, rapidly defeating targets with other weapons before drawing. This one transfers ammo to the magazine from reserves and can overflow the mag. Might be a good choice depending on how it works. Moving on to the second perk column, you're going to want explosive light for that 52% damage increase. Picking up orbs of power grants 1 stack of explosive light, and explosive light increases the damage by an average of 52%. And then its origin perk, which I thought I'd mention here, is Noble Deeds, which gains charges when you assist allies with revives, healing, overshields, or subclass buffs. And when it is charged, it gives you increased handling and reload speed. Now for weapon number 3, we have a new craftable 600 RPM strand auto rifle called Perpetuous. This weapon, just like the previous weapon, Regnant, is part of the new season, and just like Regnant, is acquired from Defiant Battlegrounds, or the deep sight decoding upgrade from the ward table in the helm. Moving on to the roll. For the barrel, you're going to want hammer forged rifling, or if you're on controller / having trouble with the recoil, chambered compensator for that extra stability. For the mags, you're going to want accurized rounds for that little bit of extra range. Under the first perk column, you're going to want envious assassin, rapidly defeating guardians. I've said this before, you know what envious assassin is. And then the second perk column, you're going to want hatchling, precision final blows, or rapidly defeating targets with a non-precision weapon, spawns a threadling at the target's location. Or if you prefer your classic damage / reload perks, you can go with keep away. When no enemies are within 14 meters, you get an increase to reload, range, and accuracy. And then target lock, which damage increase the longer the weapon stays on the target, which just to put that in simple terms, it's going to buff the damage the longer you damage a single target. So just keep shooting. Now at number 2, we have the Strand Funnel Web. That's right, aka the Synchronic Roulette. This weapon is a bit different to acquire since it only drops from the new patrol area event Terminal Overload. From what I can tell, you can get it as a random drop when opening the random chest on the left that doesn't require a key whenever you clear it, and it's a guaranteed drop when using a Terminal Overload key on days the event is in Lemming Harbor, and it isn't craftable, so you're gonna be going up against the RNG gods for a god roll. So I wish you luck since mine hasn't been very good. Bonus tip, just in case by the time this video goes live that this hasn't been fixed. If it has, then this section won't even exist. But currently you can cheese it by looting the left free chest multiple times by leaving the area, hitting a load zone, then going back to the chest, just like the Menagerie little cheese back in Season of Opulence. There are also some other cheeses that you could do like that as well. Now that that's out of the way, let's go over what you want on this thing. Starting with the barrel, you're going to want any that add a range, preferably hammer forged rifling or chambered compensator if you're on controller and want that extra stability. Next, for the mags, you're going to want flared magwell for that faster reload, but personally, I'd take whatever I could get in either of these columns, as long as you get the right perks in the next 2 columns. So speaking of those next 2 columns, in the first perk column, you're going to want envious assassin, or if you like your reload perks, you can go with keep away, increased reload, range, and accuracy when no enemies nearby. I believe it's like 14 meters. And then in the second perk column, we have personally my new favorite perk, hatchling, precision final blows, or rapidly defeating targets with a non-precision weapon spawns a threading at the target's location. Or like with the last weapon, if you like your classic damage perks, you can go with kill clip or target lock. And then finally, for number 1, we have a special void wave grenade launcher called Harsh Language. Now you might already have another special wave GL that you don't think this will replace, but trust me, I think that it's going to change your mind, so listen up. So let's get into what you want on this thing. With the barrel, you're going to want quick launch, but like with the Strand SMG, if you get the correct column 3 and 4 perks, then take whatever barrel you can get. For the mag perks, well, this thing only drops with 2, so you're always going to get the right one, but just go with high velocity rounds. Okay, getting into the perks that actually matter. First up, you're going to want envious assassin or field prep, which increased ammo reserves and increased reload when crouched. Then the second perk column, you're going to want repulsor's brace, which when defeating a void debuff target grants you an overshield. Now you might be thinking, what? I mean, repulsor's brace is okay, but why? Well, the season before Lightfall, they buffed Void Overshields to now give you a 50% damage resistance, which stacks with your resilience and any other damage resist mods you have. And then if you pair it with volatile rounds from the seasonal artifact when you pick up an orb, as long as you have a void weapon on, and then throw on some orb creation mods on your arms and helmets, you then should be able to keep volatile rounds up nearly all the time. As long as you have enemies around you, of course, and will turn you into a nearly unkillable killing machines because you're constantly debuffing enemies and then hitting them with repulsors. But yeah, you get where I'm going with this. Also going to add that there's currently a bug where if you don't have a void heavy weapon on, then sometimes volatile rounds just won't work. So if you're having issues with it, then try throwing on a void heavy weapon. Okay, now that you know what to look for, let's get into how to acquire this weapon. And unfortunately, this weapon is a world drop. So as far as I can tell, there is no like consistent way to get this, considering there are hundreds of potential drops in the world loot pool. But there are ways to kind of target world drops specifically. If you don't have the final rank upgrade from Nimbus, you can get world drops from the engrams. Terminal Overload can also give you world drops, and like I mentioned during the SMG, currently you can cheese it and farm the final chest multiple times. And then of course there's all the other previous known ways of getting world drops. But those are the top 5 weapons and their god rolls that I would recommend chasing this season. Now if you think there's a weapon or weapons that deserve to be on the list that I missed out on, then let me know down below. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then don't forget to drop a like, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.